Welcome everyone, I'm the Stage Tech Tinkerer. This is the build video for my wireless DMX streetlight kit. Please see my intro video about my wireless DMX streetlight kit if you haven't already. Let's get started. Start with an 11 by 9 inch piece of 1/8 inch hardboard and an 8 by 4 1/4 inch piece of 1/8 inch hardboard. Mark the placement of the components. I'm using templates. I'll try to make those available to everyone. Otherwise, just measure your components and mark up your pieces. Drill a starter hole to cut out the front panel. Cut out the front panel with the scroll saw. Carefully cut out the opening for the mini voltmeter. File as necessary to get a good fit. Use a center punch to make a dimple for each mark. Drill the 1/8 inch holes for the standoffs. Drill a 3/16 inch hole for the adjustment button. Drill the 1/4 inch holes for the power LED and the antenna. Drill 5/16 inch holes for the red LED and the mini push button. Drill a 7/16 inch hole for the charging port. Drill 1/2 inch holes for the toggle switch and the fuse holder. Sand and file as necessary. Set aside. To build the box, we need two 8 inch and two 4 1/2 inch pieces of 1x4. Scraps are great for this. Glue and fasten together to make a simple 8 by 6 inch box. Mark the 1 1/2 inch gap around the front panel. Mark the placement of the box. Glue the pieces together and clamp or weigh it down. After the glue dries, sand lightly. Paint the box and pieces with flame-proofed black paint. I usually do 3 coats. Drill all the holes a second time, except the adjustment button and power LED. Set aside. This is a wireless DMX 4.2 GHz transmitter receiver module. I will refer to it as a DMX transceiver from here on out. It has a wire harness with red and black power wires and white and yellow DMX data wires. It also has an antenna cable with an antenna. Attach the antenna cable to the DMX transceiver. It's a little tricky to snap on. It will swivel easily when attached correctly. This is a buck converter. It reduces voltage. Connect the input to a 12-volt source. Connect the output to a multimeter or a mini voltmeter. We need to reduce the voltage to 5 volts for the DMX transceiver. Turn the small brass screw until there's a reading of 5 volts. Solder a 6 to 8 inch black wire to the negative input. Use 18 gauge stranded wire unless otherwise noted. Solder a 6 to 8 inch red wire to the positive input. Trim the power cables from the DMX transceiver wire harness to fit. Solder the power cables from the DMX transceiver wire harness to the output of the buck converter. Set aside. This is a mini voltmeter. This mini push button switch will activate the mini voltmeter. Cut the black wire on the push button switch to about an inch or two long. Cut the red and white wires on the mini voltmeter to about an inch or two long. Put a small piece of shrink tubing over the wire. Solder the 3 wires together, then shrink tube it. Set aside. This is an on-off-on toggle switch. Note the 6 pins. Number the pins like this to help us keep organized. Connect a 3-inch piece of red wire with ring terminals on both ends to pin 5. Connect this wire and a 6 to 8 inch wire with the ring terminal to pin 1. Connect a 6 to 8 inch red wire with the ring terminal to pin 6. Connect a 6 to 8 inch red wire with the ring terminal to pin 3. Connect a 6 to 8 inch red wire with the ring terminal to pin 2. Set this aside. This is a 5 by 20 millimeter fuse holder. The fuse holder has 2 terminals. Solder a 6 to 8 inch piece of red wire to both terminals. Shrink tube over the terminals. Set aside. This is a 5 millimeter red LED, a quarter watt 2K resistor, and an LED panel mount holder. The long wire on the LED is typically the positive side. Solder the resistor to the positive side of the LED. Solder a 6 to 8 inch piece of red 22 gauge wire to the resistor. Solder a 6 to 8 inch piece of black 22 gauge wire to the negative side. Shrink tube over both solder joints. I find LEDs to be too glaring when left bare, so I cover them with hot glue. Place the LED in the panel mount holder. Pull the LED back leaving a small gap between it and the holder. Fill the gap with hot glue. Carefully push the LED back out. Let the glue dry. Test the LED with a 12-volt source. Set aside. This is a 3-channel DMX relay module. It is easy to accidentally buy a 3-channel LED module. They look very similar, and the wording can be deceitful. Unlike the LED modules, the relay modules all have these blue boxes. Attach an 8-inch piece of black wire with a ferrule to the negative terminal. Attach an 8-inch piece of red wire with a ferrule to the second terminal. Attach an 8-inch piece of red wire with a ferrule to the third terminal. Set this aside for now. This is an 8-battery case for AA's. Wired in series at 1.5 volts each, that comes to 12 volts. Add a screw type 5521 female terminal to the battery cable if it doesn't have one already. Apply sticky Velcro to one side of the battery. I use a white paint pen to mark the on position of this tiny switch. Set aside. This is a 5.5 by 2.1 millimeter female panel jack and a 5.5 by 2.1 millimeter female screw type end. We will use them for the charging port. Set aside. This is a 5.5 by 2.1 millimeter male pigtail for the power input. Set aside. Install the red LED. Install the transceiver using M3 standoffs. Install the antenna mount. Install the buck converter using M3 standoffs. Connect the wire harness from the buck converter to the transceiver. Next, we prepare the toggle switch for installation. Gauge the length of the red wire from the red LED to the toggle switch and trim. Attach a ring terminal to the red wire and connect to the number 4 pin on the toggle switch. Install the toggle switch with the notch facing right from the front. Install the 5521 panel jack. Install the fuse holder. Install the mini push button. Mix some epoxy and apply to the tabs of the mini voltmeter. Install the mini voltmeter with the wires on the bottom. Hold in place with hot glue while the epoxy dries overnight. The fuse holder tends to move after multiple uses, so I like to superglue it in place. Gauge the length of the 5521 male pigtail red wire to the fuse holder. Trim and add a ferrule. Connect to a 2-port Wago. Gauge the length of a red wire on the fuse holder. Trim and add a ferrule. Add to the 2-port Wago. Gauge the length of the other red wire on the fuse holder. Trim and add a ferrule. Connect to a 3-port Wago. Gauge the length of the red wire from the push button. Trim and add a ferrule. Add to the 3-port Wago. Gauge the length of the red wire on the number 1 pin from the toggle switch. Trim and add a ferrule. Add to the 3-port Wago. Gauge the length of the red wire on the number 6 pin from the toggle switch. Trim and add a ferrule. Connect to a 5-port Wago. Gauge the length of the red input wire on the buck converter. Trim and apply a ferrule. Add to the 5-port Wago. Leave 2 levers open on the 5-port Wago. Trim the red wire on the number 6 pin from the toggle switch to about 3 inches. Apply a ferrule. Connect to a 2-port inline splice connector. Gauge the length of the black wire from the male 5521 pigtail to the inline splice connector. Trim and add a ferrule. Connect to a 3-port Wago. Cut a 3-inch piece of black wire. Apply a ferrule to one end. Add to the 3-port Wago. Apply a ferrule to the other end. Connect to the 2-port inline splice connector. Cut a 3-inch piece of black wire. Apply a ferrule to one end. Add to the 3-port Wago. Apply a ferrule to the other end. Connect to a 5-port Wago. Gauge the length of the buck converter input black wire to the 5-port Wago. Trim and add a ferrule. Add to the 5-port Wago. Gauge the length of the LED black wire to the 5-port Wago. Trim and add a ferrule. Add to the 5-port Wago. Gauge the length of the black wire from the mini voltmeter. Trim and add a ferrule. Add to the 5-port Wago. Leave one lever open on the 5-port Wago. Find the wires from the 5521 panel jack for the charging port. Apply ferrules to both wires and trim slightly. Connect to a 5521 screw type end. Install the DMX relay to the back panel using M3 standoffs. The relay installs on the slick side with the dip switches on the left as shown. Gauge the length of the red wire from pin 3 of the toggle switch to the fourth terminal on the DMX relay. Trim and add a ferrule. Connect to the fourth terminal on the DMX relay. Gauge the length of the red wire from terminal 2 on the DMX relay to the 5-port Wago with 2 open levers. Trim and add a ferrule. Add to the 5-port Wago. Gauge the length of the red wire from terminal 3 on the DMX relay to the 5-port Wago. Trim and add a ferrule. Add to the 5-port Wago. Gauge the length of the black wire from terminal 1 on the DMX relay to the 5-port Wago with 1 open lever. Trim and add a ferrule. Add to the 5-port Wago. Gauge the length of the yellow wire from the transceiver to the DMX relay. Trim and add a ferrule. Connect to the positive terminal. Gauge the length of the white wire from the transceiver to the DMX relay. Trim and add a ferrule. Connect to the negative terminal. Replace the back cover. Drill pilot holes for the screws. Use washer head screws to attach the back panel. Now let's test it to make sure everything works. Connect a test lamp to the double inline splice. Be aware that electronics meant for the home will typically have a black wire for positive and a white wire for negative. Make sure to use a 12-volt light bulb. Do not use a standard household light bulb. Connect a battery to the power input. I'm using a rechargeable battery, but the AA 8-pack will also work. Add a 1 amp fuse to the fuse holder. Hold down the mini push button. The mini voltmeter should read about 12 volts. Flipping the toggle switch to the left in test mode will light up the red LED and the light bulb. Flipping the toggle switch to the right will activate the DMX mode. The power LED will light up with the color of the wireless group. Press the adjustment button to change the group. I prefer blue. Power up your light board and wireless DMX transmitter. The power LED will blink green when receiving a signal. Bring the DMX address over 50% and the light bulb will turn on. Below 50% and it turns back off. We now have a working street light kit. Let's finish it up. Attach a piece of fuzzy Velcro to the battery compartment. Gauge the placement for screws on the front cover. Drill pilot holes and attach with washer head screws. Dust off the kit and touch up with paint. Let the paint dry. Mark the inside cover with the kit type, the voltage, and the amp limit. Mark the left side of the toggle switch, test. Mark the right side of the toggle switch, on. Mark under the toggle switch, off. Mark under the fuse holder, 1A. Mark under the charging port, CH. Install the battery using a female-to-female 5521 connector. Replace the cover. We now have a completed wireless DMX streetlight kit. Please leave a comment if you have any questions. Check out my next video to learn how I install a wireless DMX streetlight kit. Thanks for watching. If you would like to see more videos like this, please like and subscribe to my channel.